The entire school froze the moment the billionaire, Ethan Caldwell, received the call saying his twin sons had failed yet another exam. Teachers exchanged nervous glances, students whispered behind lockers, and even the principal's confident posture deflated as if the weight of the Caldwell empire pressed against his chest. But the strangest part wasn't the panic that spread like wildfire. It was the janitor, a quiet single dad named Daniel Reyes, who stood unnoticed with his mop in hand, watching two defeated boys slump against a hallway wall with tears they tried hard to hide. That was the moment everything shifted, because the world expected brilliance from the Caldwell twins. But no one saw the silent battle they were fighting. No one except the one man everyone overlooked. The truth was about to unfold, and it would change all three of their lives. Before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that every soul deserves to be understood, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The story began many months earlier, in the prestigious halls of Crestwood Academy, the most elite school in the country, where everything gleamed, from the polished marble floors to the perfectly trimmed lawns. The Caldwell twins, Adrian and Aiden, were the school's crown jewels. Born into unimaginable wealth, raised in a mansion with staff at their disposal, and expected to inherit one of the most powerful business empires in the world, they should have carried confidence like a second skin. But inside classrooms, something was off. Test after test, assignment after assignment, they kept slipping, failing, disappointing teacher and their father, who responded only with silence that felt sharper than any scolding. Their classmates mocked them behind their backs, calling them golden losers, while their tutors quit one after another, unable to understand what was wrong. The pressure around the twins thickened like a fog no one could see through. Meanwhile, Daniel moved like a ghost within the same building, calm, quiet, and unnoticed. He was a single dad raising a 7-year-old daughter named Lily. Every penny he earned went toward her school fees, her food, her medicine, and a future he prayed would look nothing like his past. Daniel cleaned classrooms before sunrise, mopped floors during lunch breaks, and fixed leaking faucets when everyone else had gone home. He carried a gentle sadness in his eyes, but also a warmth that made students smile when he passed, especially when he offered them small handmade notes with encouraging quotes he wrote during lonely nights. For months, Daniel observed the Caldwell twins from afar. He watched how their shoulders tense whenever teachers approached, how they avoided eye contact, how they carried heavy bags but heavier hearts. He saw them stare blankly at books during study time, fingers stiff, throat tight, as if even reading was a battle. Daniel recognized that look he had worn it once himself as a struggling kid who failed not because he lacked intelligence, but because life had whispered too many hurtful things into his young ears. Yet he stayed silent, knowing his place in the hierarchy of Crestwood. After all, he was just the janitor. But everything changed the morning Ethan Caldwell stormed into the principal's office after the twins failed their third major exam in a row. His voice rattled the walls, demanding answers, threatening to withdraw millions in donations. The school scrambled, teachers panicked, but no one noticed the twins standing outside the office door shaking with fear. Daniel noticed, and for a moment his heart clenched so tightly inside his chest that he couldn't walk away. Later that day, when the hallways emptied and the world fell silent, Daniel found the twins sitting in the corner of the gym, torn tests crumpled beside them. Their faces were red, eyes swollen, breaths shallow with frustration. Daniel approached slowly, his step soft, his voice gentle in the vast empty room. He didn't ask why they were failing. He didn't offer solutions or pity. He simply said something so simple, something no one had ever said to them, that it broke the dam inside their hearts. He told them they didn't have to be perfect, that sometimes the strongest people were the ones brave enough to admit they were struggling, and that learning had nothing to do with wealth, expectations, or status. It began with believing that they were capable. It was just a few sentences, but it was the first time anyone had spoken to them without judgment. The next morning, the twins looked for him, not because they believed he had answers, but because his words had given them something rare, relief. And that was how an unexpected routine began. Every day, after school ended and the hallways emptied, the twins met Daniel in a small room behind the storage closets, where Daniel kept extra cleaning supplies. It smelled faintly of pine disinfectant, old books, and something comforting human sincerity. There, Daniel didn't teach them mathematics or science. He taught them the one secret that had kept him alive through every hardship: how to learn from within. He taught them how to breathe slowly when fear wrapped around their throats, how to break problems into small pieces instead of drowning in them, how to find patterns in questions, and how to listen to their own minds instead of the noise around them. He showed them the method he had invented years ago as an overwhelmed teenager, a system of turning every piece of information into a story. Equations became characters, formulas became adventures, history became the beating heart of humanity. Slowly, learning transformed from an enemy into something alive, something they could touch, shape, and understand. And as days turned into weeks, something extraordinary happened. The twins began to change. Their eyes brightened, their shoulders loosened. Their hands stopped trembling when holding a pen. They even smiled, real smiles, not the practiced ones they wore for photographers during charity events. Teachers noticed their growing confidence, classmates stopped whispering, and the principal dared to hope again. But no one knew the truth. The world credited the sudden improvement to expensive new tutors Ethan had hired, not realizing that the real magic was happening in a cluttered janitor's closet, where 3 hearts tried to heal quietly. Yet healing rarely comes without storms. When Ethan learned months later that his sons had fired their tutor because someone else was helping them, curiosity became suspicion. One evening, he followed them discreetly through the hallways after school and found the 3 of them in that small room. His face turned red with disbelief when he realized the janitor, someone he had barely acknowledged, was the one teaching his sons. He confronted Daniel that very moment, demanding explanation. His voice echoed with anger, pride, and fear that someone of lower status had somehow stepped into his son's world. The twins, terrified of losing the one person who made them feel understood, stood in front of Daniel and defended him with a strength no one expected. Their trembling voices explained how Daniel had changed everything, how he taught them not with books but with heart, and how he made them believe they were capable human beings, not failures. And in that moment, Ethan saw something he had never seen before: emotion, raw, real, unfiltered emotion in their eyes. For the first time in years, Ethan felt powerless. The silence that followed was heavy and long, but it broke something inside him. He realized that he had provided his sons with everything money could buy except the most crucial thing: time, connection, patience. And Daniel, a man he barely glanced at in the hallways, had given them all 3. In a rare moment of humility, Ethan asked Daniel to continue helping his sons. But Daniel refused any payment. He only asked for one thing: that Ethan become part of the process, to learn with his sons, to show them that vulnerability was not weakness. And over the next few weeks, Ethan did something unimaginable. He sat with them, studied with them, learned with them. The billionaire who once believed power came from control now discovered a new strength in gentleness. When exam day finally came, the school buzzed with anticipation. Teachers hoped, students whispered. The principal's hands shook as he distributed the papers. The twins sat with calm expressions, remembering Daniel's voice telling them to breathe, to trust themselves, to see every question as an opportunity, not a threat. And when the results arrived, they didn't just pass, they scored higher than they ever had. The school erupted in celebration. Teachers who once doubted them now applauded. Even the principal cried behind his office door. But the greatest victory wasn't the grades. It was the transformation that had taken place inside them. The fear was gone. The shame had faded. The world had opened. Later, Crestwood Academy honored Daniel with a ceremony no janitor had ever received. Ethan publicly thanked him, his voice breaking as he admitted that Daniel had done for his sons what he himself couldn't. And for the first time, Daniel stood on a stage not as staff, but as someone whose quiet kindness had changed lives. If this story has touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful stories that inspire hope. Before the story ends, here is a special request. Please comment: kindness can change lives. If you believe every person deserves to be seen and understood. In the end, the secret Daniel taught wasn't about learning techniques or study methods. It was something far deeper and more powerful. He taught them that the greatest success begins not in the mind, but in the heart. That belief is stronger than fear. That every person, rich or poor, needs someone who sees their struggle. And often, the most extraordinary heroes are the ones the world overlooks. And that is how a billionaire's twin sons, who once failed every test, found their strength not in wealth, but in the wisdom of a humble single dad, janitor, who changed their lives forever.